Good afternoon. I welcome you to my doors. Since these have been fitted, I've been meaning to get to this point of actually covering them with some kind of varnish. So I thought I'd just document it. But before I get to that and what I'm putting on them, I've got to sand them down because I don't know if you can see, I've sanded a couple of areas already, and you can see sort of it's nice and light where the handle was and where I've sanded, but where the greasy hands have been on these doors over the last sort of 6 months, that hasn't worked out so well. So I'll sand it down, give them a wipe, make sure everything's clear and dry, and then I'm gonna oil them or varnish them or whatever it is. Okay. This is thirsty work. I feel I should add that I've been rubbing these down with some 320 grade paper. Not too rough, it just takes the surface off, leaves a load of dust on the floor there. But yeah, that's the sides, all the grooves and top and the face done. I've got to do the other side of the door now. So I'll reposition the camera and let's see how we go. Okay, I'd just like to take a quick moment there. Look behind me, I have hoovered the doors clean, got all the dust off, given them a quick wipe over with a damp rag to make sure there's nothing else on them. They're all tickety-boo. I thought I'd just do a quick mention about the stuff I'm using for the doors. Now, this is not a sponsored out of any kind. I'm not that lucky. But Osmo, if you would like to sponsor me, that would be really lovely, because honestly, this stuff is amazing. I was expecting your regular kind of varnish, put it on, and it's completely different, and hopefully I'll be able to show you what I mean. But it's the way it brings the grain out without having any kind of sheen to it. I mean, I'm using the clear Satin Polyx-Oil. They also do a door oil, which is probably specific for doors, but they didn't have any in the shop, and a few people have said they've used this, so yeah, it's good enough for me. I'll give it a try. I did a test piece on one of the offcuts of the doors and left it for a couple of weeks, and there was no kind of delamination or anything, so probably be all right. That's how I roll. The difference in how the doors look before and after, I've done one door prior to today. So this is a bare sanded door, and although the light does change a little bit, this is a door that's had one coat done on it. So if I zoom in here so you can really see how well this grain really pops out. And I'll step over to here, you can see a bare door. The difference is really quite something. I mean, that door does look fairly amazing. So it does recommend 2 coats. So the plan is to get one coat on this door and this door and this door today, and I can let it dry, and then hopefully tomorrow afternoon, again we've got good weather, got to have the doors open because there is a bit of an odour to this. It doesn't last too long, just a day or so, but while it dries there is a bit of an odour. But then I can get the second coat over all 3 of these doors, and there'll be a little sand down in between, which I've not tried yet, but it was recommended to use a very fine wire wool. So hopefully I'll capture that tomorrow before I go to put on the second coat, and you'll see it. But for now, hopefully this is just going to be a time lapse of me putting varnish on 3 doors. Wish me luck.
Hang on, you forgot the bit.
Hold fire, I'm not on the time lapse yet. I forgot to open the can and show you what the stuff is like. So I will try and do this now with one hand whilst holding a camera. So I'm obviously working on a plastic lined dust sheet because I don't want to wreck my nice new floor. So I'll put the lid over there. So this is the Polyx-Oil. Now I've previously used it. I've just got this stirry stick, so I'm going to just give it a quick mix up. It doesn't really require too much. It's really quite watery. It's more like a wet wax than it is a varnish. Varnishes I've used previously have all been a lot thicker than this. Yeah, give it a good stir up. Make sure you get around the edges of the tin. Get the stuff that's stuck on the sides. And my, oops, I'll move that over there. And my means of applying this stuff is also unconventional. I'll spin me around so you can see me. So I said to a friend about what kind of brush to use, and he said, oh, no, don't use a brush. You want a bit of blue rag or a bit of lint-free cloth. So you can dab it in the pot and just wipe it over the door. If you put on with a brush, Osmo do recommend that after you've done so, you then go round with a lint-free cloth and wipe off any excess. So putting it on with a cloth just kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. So right, okay, back to that time lapse then. Fingers crossed. Hopefully the time lapse works and you can actually see it going on. Okay, fingers crossed you get to see this as well as I can. I thought I'd just do a quick demonstration of what it is I'm actually doing to the door, because the transformation to the eye is something to behold. So if I dot this down here, literally it's just your average blue rag. Obviously wear gloves because this stuff is a bit stinking, you don't want your hands to smell. Just dipping it in. He says, you can see that then. Wipe off this, I've got a bit on the door. So on the cloth, now I'll start at the top. As I wipe it on, yeah, not very much on that one. Let's go for a bit more, shall we? How much of an amateur am I? Film the thing you're trying to do. Okay, quite a bit on there. And the difference in that, how the grain looks, is just unreal. And I've only done it lightly on there because I'm doing this one-handed and trying to film it at the same time. But I'll try and get the rest of that top edge done and a bit more maybe. Get the stuff. Wipe it on. This side of the door is really dry, so it's just sucking the life out of the cloth. So the way I'm doing this is I'm going to go all the way around the outer part of the frame. So out, round, out, round. And then I go in the gaps. And once I've gone round the one, I fill it in. Then go around the next one, fill it in. around the next one, fill it in, and so on and so forth until the door's done. But I mean, just if you get really close in there, you just see how well the grain comes out, and then as you get to the standard unfinished door, the difference is really something. I love this stuff. I say it goes on so easily. Obviously you've got to spend a bit of time with an awkward shaped door like this, but oh, and I am working on a dust sheet to there has been a bit of spillage, so we don't want to ruin the floor or the carpet. Right, I'll pause it there. That great moment when you're doing DIY and a delivery man knocks on the door and interrupts you. Yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, just bringing some of this down here. So dab in, wipe it on. There's no overspill, no wiping, no runs or anything to worry about with a rag. It just totally transforms the look of the door. Honestly, as you can see, that sat there for a minute, the difference is just staggering. So I'm going to put you back onto time lapse, and you can watch me finish the rest of this one. Probably take a little break then and have a cup of tea, and then I'll crack on with the other two doors. I'm going to throw a quick disclaimer down here. The reason I'm doing Polyx-Oil is because there wasn't the door oil in the shop and I didn't want to wait. I mean, being a bit impatient. The reason the doors are still hung and I'm using the paper, again, it's a convenience thing. What Osmo recommend is that you take the doors off the hinge, lay them flat, brush the oil in on one side, let it dry, turn it over, brush the oil in on the other side, let it dry. It's quite a time consuming thing, especially when these doors are quite so heavy. I just didn't feel confident that I'm going to get them off. Finding space to do the work is difficult. I know it's not such a nice day today, but if it rains, my garage leaks. I can't really use the house if the kids are at home. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm going with this should be fine. You should probably follow their instructions and use door oil and lay the doors flat when you do it. Yeah, that's the disclaimer for now. Thank you very much. Okay, I've done bathroom door, living room door, I've done this front face of the dining room door, and I'm going to do the last face now on the inside of the dining room. But while I'm doing that, I thought I'd give you a few tips that I've picked up from using the old blue cloth. Okay, so I've got the cloth in my hand, I've got the varnish open, and I have an unfinished door right before me. So I found that it goes on, you can get drips and splats with this, as you can see from the dust sheets. Mainly these bottom bits are where I'm wiping the bottom of the door. I can't really avoid that, and yeah, it does drip a little bit, but yeah, dust sheets or plastic or whatever you're going to do. Having a dry piece handy is, yeah, it's well worth having that, because if you get a drop on the floor or it does drip somewhere, it's fairly easy and quick to mop up. But the rag is the gift that keeps giving, I've got to say. Very nice to use. Rather than, you know, applying loads and then wiping it off on the side, you can actually go fairly heavily laden there, and just, it works best, I found, if you wipe up the door to get the worst of it off, and then you can really just spread it around a little bit. It works really nicely. I'm obviously going on quite thick in places, but you know, that works quite well. And when it comes to the corners, the rag, obviously you can squish it into a nice shape, and it spreads the oil nicely there. But yeah, that's what I've picked up. Yes, it can drip off the rag, especially if you wipe downwards, it will just build up a wedge and fall off. So wiping upwards is the key, although it's not always possible. And have a spare bit of rag. There you go, top tips. Okay, situation updates. We have 1 door, 2 door, 3 door, and I've previously done the kitchen door. So that's all 4 doors now with 1 coat on them. I've got windows open and let some air through. It's now 7 o'clock in the evening, so I'm going to stop and have something to eat. Wait for this to dry. I think it says on the packet it's 8 to 10 hours drying time, and then second coat it. So I'll be doing a light rub over with the wire wool, and then I will be giving it a second coat, hopefully tomorrow, if not maybe the day after. Weather and lack of people in the house are clearly important. And speaking of which, as you may be able to hear, the wife and kids have just come home, so perfect time to stop. Good afternoon, you join me back at the doors. I've just given this one a bit of a rub over, and it's lovely and smooth. I've got 3 more doors to go, and hopefully I'm going to take you along with me. I'm going to add that the original plan was to use, what's it called, wire wool to rub these down. Again, the friend who put the doors in suggested it's a good thing for giving a very light key, just a light rub over and a nice key. Did some research. I like to always check my bases, and he's probably absolutely right. But Osmo do say specifically in their instructions not to use wire wool with the Polyx-Oil or the door oil. So I'm going to give it a swerve. A lot of other YouTube pages have suggested either a bit of 320 or a very light sanding finishing pad. I think the finishing pad was probably the recommendation. I've got some 320, so that's what I'm going to go with. It's a nice fine finish. I gave him a rub over with 320 to start with, so yeah, let's see if I can take you along with me for this bit. I've got with me here just a regular sanding block. One with a sponge would probably be way more convenient, but yeah, I don't got one of them, so I'm not going to use it. So I'm just rubbing straight lines up and down, trying not to cross over the different grains. I'll point out the door. Don't look at me, you're looking at the door. I'm trying to go up and down the grain in the direction of the grain, and try not to cross over to give scratch marks on when the grain changes direction. And then I'm going to go around the little grooves afterwards with a scrunched up piece to get in the gap. So the difference is quite staggering when you can even hear the difference in how the door is after the first coat to how it is after the second coat. So yeah, here we go. Just thought I'd share some quick tips I've learned along the way while I've been doing this. I have the standing block works quite well up to the edges. It's quite hard to get around the hinge, so I've been get up to the hinge and around the hinge first, on the definitely on the hinge side, and then this side, this side, this side. The bottom seems to be a bit more tricky because you're right close to the floor. I'm going to be running down into it anyway, so if I was to accidentally run down into it with the sanding pad, I'm going to leave horizontal lines on my vertical wood grain. So I'm saving that one till the very last. So it's up and down all of these. It's easy to be gentle with this pad at the top. I can just put my hand there, but it's because of its proximity to the ground, it's a bit more difficult. The other thing is, it's the difference in how these bits sound. So around the outside has been sanded, so hope you can hear that nice and smooth. If I put it on some that I did on the that's not sanded, that's just the Osmo. I know I've got gloves on, but honestly the difference is a prickly unfinished surface is how it feels, and a very smooth one. So I'll be interested to see how it all comes out once I've sanded the rest of it and gone around with the Osmo for a second coat. Also, for getting in the gaps, I've been using the old bit of paper, because I've only been using the flat face of it on here on the sanding pad. So I've been using the ends, folding it up to get into the grooves. So I'll finish this door off, and then I'll have a little stop and have a bite to eat. Good evening. Due to a technical error with my brain tiredness and everything else, I neglected to video this last bit, but I've been round and I've applied the final coat of Osmo to all of the doors. I have my final coat, and it beautifully matches the other woodwork we've got, and it's not too offensive against the floor either. So yeah, I applied it in the same way, put it on with the rail. After I'd sanded the doors, hoovered all the dust up, gave them a quick wipe over, applied the Osmo with the rag, buffed it all the excess off at the end, and that's it. And I'll leave it a couple of days to dry now, and I'll put the handles back in on Saturday. So Osmo, job's a good one, thank you.